How much it is now? $50 a barrel? $55 a barrel? When Israel takes over, it will reach 100? 100? Not just oil. Massa, in order to totally control and rule the whole world, must not only control oil, must control natural gas. That is why the PNM is behaving the way it is now. And this country will eventually become another Singapore, another police state. Because Massa has to control not only oil but natural gas. Massa has to ensure that no one poses a strategic threat to him, military threat. So Massa has to eliminate all kinds of what weapons? Weapons of? You know about it. Weapons of mass destruction. Wherever they are, get rid of them. So that no one can defend himself against Massa. No one. And so Israel wages a big war and seizes the oil. If you want oil, you're going to have to come to me for it. Because you can't afford at $100 a barrel. And the only way you'll get the oil is if you bow down and worship me. Because when I say stand up, you're going to have to stand up. And when I say sit down, you're going to have to sit down. And when I say shut up, you have to shut up. But at the same time that Israel wages that big war and seizes control of all this territory, and we start making noise in the UN, the non-white people of the world, Israel just brush we away. We don't have to worry you. How many tanks you have? At the same time with that, there is a concomitant attack on the US dollar. That attack has already started. The US dollar is already in a state of irreversible decline. Central bank would not say that. But this seminar is saying that. Because we can understand the subject from a different perspective than central bank. We have the Quran and we have the Messenger of Allah. But we don't use them. We don't use them to study this subject. When Miladun Nabi comes, we sing lovely qasidas, lovely songs in praise of the Prophet ﷺ. But who bothers to go to Muhammad ﷺ to understand the subject of money? Who bothers to go to the Quran to understand the subject of money? Which we'll be doing in the next session, inshallah. The US dollar is attacked. And the US dollar collapses like a pack of cards. It collapsed previously. Number, Mikhail? The one with the dollar. Yeah, number 11. It collapsed previously, the US dollar. In 1944 at Bretton Woods, what was the value of the dollar? Anybody remember? 35. In 1971, it was removed. Bretton Woods was abandoned. Richard Nixon announced to the world, we gave our word to you, but we don't have to keep it. Yeah, we don't have to keep it. All you stupid Bronxing people, believe we? Huh? That was 1971. And after 71, you see what's happening with the paper. By 1973, when the war took place with the Arabs, the US dollar collapsed. It collapsed an amazing 400% overnight in 1 week. 400%. from $40 an ounce to $160 an ounce. Can you see at the back? You can? And then, second major collapse on the 15th of January 1980, when all we Maulanas were asleep or eating halwa. That's all we do. On the 15th of January, it's better for me to make a joke than to use forceful language. On the 15th of January 1980, for reasons connected with the Soviet intervention in Afghanistan as a response to the Islamic Revolution in Iran, and the threat posed by Islamic Iran, the US dollar collapsed again to how much? You even know. $850 for an ounce of gold. So those who had the plan to eventually bring the whole thing down like a pack of cards, they had the evidence that the plan working. So now what they do since 1980 is to have a managed system. So they keep the price of gold and therefore the value of the US dollar in a band between 250 and 400. They don't move out of that. They control it. But when the US dollar starts to collapse, then this goes. What we have to say to you before we end today's session, we have only another 3 minutes, is that this time when the US dollar collapses, it will collapse completely. And it will bring down the entire world of paper money with it. You heard me saying this for so many times over the last 1 year. What have you done to it? Are you just going to sit down and listen to me and then go back home and do nothing about it? Or will you do something about it? At least go and teach it to others. When the US dollar collapses and all the paper money of the world collapses, and what's going to be new money? At least the paper money has one advantage for us. You could have something called an anonymous transaction. I put some money in your hand. That's between me and you and the Lord. Nobody else say no. Huh? I want to help you. You're in difficulties. I want to give you some charity. That's between me and you and the Lord. Nobody else know. That's gone. No more anonymous transaction. Because the slave master, Massa, in order to control the whole world, has to control every single transaction involving money. So now the new money comes to replace the old money. And the new money is invisible, you can't see it, it's intangible, you can't touch it. What is it called? No, it's not plastic. Plastic is what is used to access the money. The new money is electronic money. I have a very intelligent class here. You can't see the money. You can't touch the money. Who except someone with the intellectual acumen of a donkey would accept such money? Eh? But that's where we are. We have eyes but we can't see. We have ears but we can't hear. We have hearts but we can't understand. And the Lord in the heavens above shaking with anger. Because nobody teaching the subject. Nobody bothering to investigate and understand the new slavery. You march to Shagaramas here. You proclaim to the world Massa Day done. You have Emancipation Day. Yeah, and when Emancipation Day, you come with all kind of African gong and thing. Not knowing Massa Day come in. It ain't come yet. It come in. When the new money comes, and I expect, of course I can be wrong, within the period of time which Bush still has before he goes, because they know who coming, might be another Clinton, and they go hire Monica for him. Even with a Monica, you couldn't bring down Bill Clinton. They try everything to bring down Bill Clinton. So that while they still have Bush there, it is very likely, but of course I can be wrong, that Israel will wage a big war within the next 2 to 3 years. And you'll see the collapse of paper money. And you'll see the introduction of electronic money. The anti-terrorism legislation being enacted around the world is not so much for catching terrorists, you know. That is the byproduct. The real purpose of the anti-terrorism legislation is financial control. Go to the bank now and see the sign it. Yeah, they could question you where you get your money from. They have to be able to monitor every single transaction. But the nice thing about electronic money is they don't even have to go and print the paper to make money. At least you spend a little $5, $10 to print the paper. You could save that money now. All you have to do is to go to the computer and type in how much money you want to type in. But I thought it was Allah who is Ar-Razak. No, it's not Allah anymore. The man who controls the banking system can make any amount of money he wants to make. Yeah. And we, the jackasses of the world, will accept that as money. Excuse my language, but that's the way I feel, the anger inside of me. Nobody else will come forward to teach the subject. It's a lonely life. It's a lonely life. Nobody else will come forward to teach the subject. Oh, but we have Sheikh Ali Mustafa here in the wings coming up. And secondly, nicer than that, Massa could not only make any amount of money you want to make, Massa could take away your money anytime you want to take it away. All you have to do is to declare you a terrorist. Like I was already declared a terrorist in this country. Send an email, and then they come and they catch the email in your computer. They send it, you know. And now you're branded a terrorist. Your bank account is frozen, number one, it's seized, number two. You're gone. That's the new slavery. Financial slavery around the world. And so, we're not concerned about your micro responses. We want to look at the macro picture first. And only when we have understood the macro picture and we've understood the macro threat will we attempt to respond. So that even if we respond at the micro level, our micro response would be appropriate to the threat which we face. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
Say it. You can say it. No, you have to use everybody here. When the U.S. dollars, when the gold was at 850 for an ounce in 1980, and then after that it came to be controlled between 400 and 250. Yeah. Doesn't it seem that the dollar has gone up?
They did not want that the system should collapse before they themselves bring it down. Okay. Imran, if you'd like to get the microphone, just put your hands up and we'll bring it to you. They did not want that the system, the monetary system, should collapse before they themselves, by their design, bring it down. And they can influence the value of the paper through the release of gold, the sale of gold. And they manage the sale of gold. They manage it, so that they can manage the fluctuations in the value of the US dollar. This is what has been happening since 1980, operating within a band of $250 to $400. But now